Ladies and gentlemen, fellow members, and welcome to the place. Members, can I call on the Reverend Andy Smith to say prayers?
Almighty God, we pray that you are with all of our councillors, the officers and staff of our borough councillors. They meet tonight, the first time after the election. We pray for Leon as he begins his year of office as mayor. We pray that with a more balanced council, this might be seen as a better environment for cooperation than confrontation, for joint working for all our sakes, rather than division along party lines. We pray you give them wisdom throughout this year to judge the issues before them well, not least the issues relating to justice for the vulnerable. Ears and minds open to listen to each other and by your grace also to you, as together they address these vital issues for the good of all. Thank you for calling each one to serve the wider community, especially for those who are most vulnerable in our borough. In a world we share with terrorists and extreme dictatorships, may they never take our hard-won democracy and humane justice lightly. Give our decision-makers wisdom as they work with ever-tightening budgetary constraints, guiding them to know how to best manage these most effectively. Show them how best to maintain core services for those most at risk, that ours might continue to be the caring, inclusive borough that we need in which all are valued, irrespective of the labels we might attach to them. Give each person making decisions this year the strength and integrity that they surely need, the courage to make hard decisions and the grace to make caring ones in relation to the practical application of care and compassion, justice and peace, respect for all and for our environment. We ask this in your mercy, O God. Amen.
Amen. Would you like to be seated, ladies and gentlemen? Phil, you've got to ring the bell. Thank you, Phil. Can I remind you to take it at the end of the meeting? I say that because we lost it one year, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, can I particularly welcome each and every one of you here to the annual council meeting of the Borough of Telford and Wrekin. Can I particularly welcome the presence of Lord and Lady Grocott, Lucy Allen, the MP, and Lucy, I've taken the opportunity of speaking to you later with fleeting passive words, and that was all we had earlier on. And the Freeman of the Borough, Lieutenant Colonel Nick Jenkins, who will be representing the Rifles, and most particularly my good friend, and years ago when I first came on the council, my mentor, Mrs. Elizabeth Holt. Can I take this opportunity to ask, and it's traditional now, we tend to have a new member who will read out the declaration on behalf of all members. Can I ask you to stand and call on Councillor Andy Burford, who will read the declaration.
Colleagues, aware of our responsibilities to promote democracy and the well-being of all local people on behalf of the Council, I make this recommitment to our office as elected representatives. Elected to serve the public good, we recognise that public office is a privilege granted by the people and not a right. We, elected representatives of the people of Telford and Wrekin, declare that we will, to the best of our ability, uphold the Council's constitution and serve the community above any private or personal interest.
So, thank you, Andy. Right, members, you may be seated. We now go into the business of the annual meeting, and the first item on that is the appointment of mayor for 2015-16. And it falls on me as not as the outgoing mayor, but as a fellow ward member to nominate and propose Councillor Leon Murray as the mayor for the forthcoming year. Leon, as I said before, is my fellow councillor. He has been the mayor before, and he's a man that I find that I can work with. He has become a personal friend, as Barbara has, and we couldn't have a more fitting person, and that's with due respect to all sides of the council, as our mayor. I therefore propose Councillor Leon Murray as mayor. I call on Councillor Rob Sloan to second the proposal.
Thank you, Malcolm. It gives me great pleasure to second the proposal as the new ward member in Hadley and Montgomery. I think Malcolm, Leon did a cracking job first time around, but a year didn't seem quite long enough. But I've got 12 months to get in training for the Caribbean evening and certain drinks that were served that night. So with that, those thoughts, I second the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to support? No. Therefore, members, I put to you. Oh, Councillor Fletcher.
Mr. Mayor, we have an alternative nomination for the position of mayor.
I thought
my
that was going
colleague
to come up.
would lead on this. Thank you.
Your nomination, Andrew.
That's very kind of you, Speaker. Thank you very much. With due deference to Leon, of course, and I'm sure he won't mind really, as you said, he's been mayor before. I'd like to propose Councillor Joy Francis to be mayor. She's a Telford girl. She has the right qualities to be mayor. She works hard. She's diligent and will represent the whole of the council, I'm sure, extremely well at all levels. The role, as we know, is a very important one for the council. And she was deputy mayor back in the 12 months leading to the election in 2011. I think it would be very nice and fitting if she was able to continue on and be mayor this time. As I said, that is with due deference to Leon. I'm sure he will be supporting our nomination, or might even like to second it. Thank you, Speaker.
And for your seconder, Councillor Ian Fletcher.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. In the year that I was mayor, 2010-11, Joy was a very superb deputy mayor and has the right personality, skills, and will be a wonderful representative for the borough of Telford Wrekin, which is what the mayor should be. Therefore, I'd like to formally second her for the position of mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fletcher. No further proposals? Now, right, if there are no further proposals, can we move to the vote? And I will take them as first proposed. All those in favour of Councillor Leon Murray, would you please show? Recounted. Thank you, members. All those in favour of the Conservative nomination. Thank you, members. On the assurance of the legal officer Councillor Leon Murray as elected as Mayor for the ensuing year.
We call for the nomination of Speaker. Councillor Charles Simmet. Shirley Rennan proposed
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to propose my colleague and fellow ward member, Councillor Charles Smith, as Speaker. Charles has a wealth of experience, having been a member of the council continuously for the last 20 years. Charles has served the borough in many capacities. He's been in the cabinet, he's been the deputy leader, and of course, he is invaluable for his knowledge of the constitution. It is this knowledge and experience that will come to the fore in the role of Speaker, and I have no doubt that Charles will once again rise to this challenge and will be an excellent Speaker. I am honoured to be able to propose him.
Liz Clare, second.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I, like Shirley, have great pleasure in seconding the post of Speaker to Charles. I've served with Charles, like many others, for many years. He actually is one of the extraordinary people. He always makes time for you if you need to know about the Constitution. We'd better be aware that when you're looking for a point of information, unless you're on steady and safe ground, Charles will know. He is what I call a gentleman. And you can't say that for all politicians. And I really do endorse the, yeah, if the cap fits, wear it. I have great pleasure in seconding this proposal, Mr. Mayor.
Is there any further nomination for Speaker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and congratulations on your appointment as well. As one gentleman to another, we would like to make an alternative proposal. Somebody who would bring a good deal of inbuilt fairness, has passion for local government and conviction, and I think will bring a certain style and robustness to the position of Speaker. That particular person is somebody I've known for a good deal and is well known to the council, and that's Councillor Steve Bentley. However, I know only too well, of course, Steve's dedication and his drive when it comes to Telford Wrekin Council and seeing a balanced picture. But I think he'll bring a good deal to the position and certainly humour and interesting times. And once again, with due deference to Charlie, I think he can see the wisdom of what we're proposing there, and I'm sure he will welcome that as well with open arms. Plus, of course, it'll be a much easier ride for Charlie.
Have we got a seconder?
Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to second the nomination for Steve Bentley as now my new ward colleague in Edmund and Magna. I've had many an occasion to thank the good councillor Steve in the past, and the way that he approaches things in all fundamentals with the very best will and interests of residents at heart. And I do believe that he would be an excellent candidate for this position.
Thank you. Yeah. All those in favour of Councillor Charles Smith as Speaker? Thank you. Those in favour of Councillor Bentley? Thank you. Yeah. I declare that
Councillor Bentley's requested a recount, if that's
I declare that Councillor Charles Smith is elected as Speaker for 2015-2016. Charles.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, fellow councillors, for those kind words you said about me. I can assure Councillor Eade that there will be fairness from the chair, as he well knows me from the past. We've always been fair, and the rules will be applied equally across the whole of the council, properly and fairly. And as Liz Clare said, there ain't no such thing as a point of information in debate. So it's going to be an interesting year, but I think we'll do it properly and get there. So I do thank you all again for having the faith in me to be the Speaker. With that, we now move on. I take over from Leon now. To the election of a Deputy Speaker for 2015-16. And I ask for nomination for a Deputy Speaker And I understand Councillor Malcolm Smith proposed and make a proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I seem to spend an awful lot of time on these podiums just lately. Mr. Speaker, it gives me great pleasure in proposing my fellow councillor, Councillor Rob Sloan, as the Deputy Speaker to the Council. Rob has had a wealth of experience and he knows how to handle a meeting, although I have told him if he has any problems, I'll come and help him out. He will stand no messing, as we say on our side of the council chamber. We're here to do a job. And the Speaker and Deputy Speaker are those people at sea that we are going to do that job. So therefore, it gives me great pleasure to propose Councillor Rob Sloan. Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Pinter.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to second the proposal.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to propose Councillor Adrian Meredith.
Councillor Bentley.
I'd like to propose Councillor Ian Fletcher. Like yourself, Charles, knows the Constitution inside out, has been Speaker of the Authority before, and applies a decorum of impartiality when making decisions. He is a knowledgeable person, and his background with the authority would be invaluable in serving you when you make mistakes.
I'll note that, Councillor Bentley. Is there a seconder for Councillor Fletcher?
Yes, we all know what an excellent speaker Councillor Fletcher was on the previous occasion, and it gives me great pleasure to be able to second this.
Are there any further nominations? No, then we go to the vote. All those in favour of Councillor Rob Sloan, please show. All those in favour of Councillor Fletcher, please show. Okay, thank you. I'm informed that Councillor Sloan has got the majority vote. Congratulations, Rob. So Rob Sloan is a Deputy Speaker for 2015-2016. We now come to the appointment of the Deputy Mayor for 2015-2016, and I need nominations for the Deputy Mayor. I understand Councillor Sean Davies is going to make a proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to propose Councillor Jane Pinter for the role of Deputy Mayor. Jane is a councillor in a neighbouring ward to me. She's very well known in the locality, and I'm sure that she'll do a fantastic job to deputise for our fine mayor. It's great as well, Mr. Speaker, that a relatively new member of the council has taken up this particular role. I know that she'll do a fantastic job, and she can keep a secret, Mr. Mayor. When I was about 12 or 13, had the misfortune of meeting Jane Pinter in Turkey, in Kutadarsi, and 10 or 15 years went in between, and she's now on the council with us. So I know that she'll do a fantastic job as Deputy Mayor, and as I say, she'll do it with class.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Is there a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Andy Burford.
Yes, I'll second Jane Pinter for the position of Deputy Mayor, as my fellow ward councillor who's worked very hard and been very supportive to me in getting elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other nominations?
Ticked you off. I would like to propose Councillor Adrian Meredith, who has all the qualities of fairness, integrity and principle. Because everybody who knows him knows that he's a dedicated public servant or would serve the post admirably.
Is there a seconder for that proposal?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to second that proposal. Everybody seems to be saying this evening they're supporting their fellow ward council. Well, I'm no different. And Adrian and I are now together on Newport South and East. Known Adrian a number of years, and as has already been said, first-class councillor, very hard working in the community, well respected and ideal for this position. Thank you.
Any other nominations? No. All those in favour of Councillor Jane Pinter, please show. Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Adrian Meredith, please show. Thank you. Councillor Jane Pinter is elected as the Deputy Mayor. Congratulations, Jane. We now come to a vote of thanks to the retiring Mayor and Mayoress. And I call upon Councillor Liz Clare to move a vote of thanks to the Councillors Malcolm and Mrs. Christine Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's quite strange, really, because when we came back into power, and one of the first things Christine said to me, now don't be thinking of Malcolm for Mayor, just don't be doing it. But who's the best person for the job? Somebody that's done it before, who knows the ropes, and he's got a wife that's exceptionally supportive. It's not an easy role. And I think we tend to forget when our mayor turns up to all different types of functions, whether it be a banquet or whether it be on the sports field watching the kiddies perform. It's a special kind of job, and it takes a special kind of person to be behind the person that's mayor. And of course, they've both done a wonderful job again. One of my bosses said to me many years ago, he said, Liz, you've been on the council a long time. Why aren't you ever the mayor? I said, because I'd be frightened to death. I don't want to do it. It's a special kind of job, and it needs special kind of people. And this council owes a debt of gratitude for not once, twice, and I'm not sure how many times that Malcolm and his wife have performed this duty. And from the whole of the council, my thanks goes out to the pair of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clare. Rob Sloan to second the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think that Liz has stolen some of what I was going to say there. when I was asked to do this, I thought, well, I must have a previous speech or 2 or 3 on my laptop that I can just print off, because I've done this before. I think Malcolm's done another, supported ably by Christina, another smashing year. It's difficult to raise money for charity, but if anybody can squeeze money out of people, Malcolm has a special talent, let me assure you. It's not been easy for various reasons, and going here, there and everywhere. But I think they've served the borough proudly in this last 12 months. And I do, like Liz says, every time I go in Adam Brook House, I'll have to look at the board and said Malcolm was that year, that year, that year, and that year. And that's how I remember Malcolm. Thank you.
Are there any other tributes to pay to Malcolm? And Veronica Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've got great pleasure in thanking the Mayor and the Mayoress for all the work that they did last year. We've supported them, Councillor Ian Fletcher and I have supported them throughout the year in their charities, which have been very, very successful. And thank them both for all the hard work, which I know that they have put in, having done it myself some years ago. The hours and dedication is second to none. So thank you very much both.
Councillor Arnold, England.
I would also like to offer my thanks to Malcolm, but especially to Christine, his wife. I've known them for many, many years, and I know that it's Christine is, you know, they say behind every good man there's a better woman. Well, I think in that case it is a true example. And I would like to thank Malcolm. I think the thing that sticks in my mind the most is the detail he would give us at council meetings of his ventures, and I will really miss that. So thank you.
So Bill Tomlinson.
Mr. Speaker, I want to lend my thanks to Malcolm for the amount of effort he's put in, particularly Christine as well. So, my wife and I was there well into the got a number of occasions, and been on the task. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Are there any other speakers? Andrew Eade.
Thank you, Speaker. Very briefly, I think behind every good man's an astonished woman. It probably describes it a little more aptly. Malcolm, of course, has been mayor once or twice before. As I remember, 5 times he's signalling to me. At least I think it's a wave of 5 times anyway. And of course, it's right. It does take a very special sort of person to carry out those sort of functions and duties. It's something that I've certainly never aspired to or could do for that matter, because the late nights, the amount of time, and of course the fundraising, the charity work on top of that is something to behold. So I'll pass on my congratulations to you as well this time, and look forward to seeing you do it at some point in the future, Malcolm. Well done both.
Thank you, Andrew. Are there any other speakers? No, then we'll move on then. And I'll say, can we put the vote of thanks to the vote, please? All those in favour of the vote of thanks? That appears to be unanimous. Thank you. I now call upon the Speaker to make a presentation to Councillor Malcolm and Mrs. Christine Smith as a reminder of their time in office. Richard? Thank you, Richard. I now call upon Councillor Malcolm Smith to reply to the vote of thanks. I'll echo that as well. as the Speaker. Something you would have said, Malcolm.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen and members, thank you very much for the gifts. When I took the position of mayor 2 years ago, and it's quite true, Christine said, "Oh, not again." But this authority means something special to me. It always has done. I think served on it 45 years, and we've now got 4 years in front of us. That will take me to 49, and I would like to do at least 50 plus, but we have to wait to see, of course. I should be a lot older. Fortunately, I'm still enjoying good health. This week, as you run down to tonight, is always one of those where you reflect on the things that you may have done. And I think during this last year, I've met innumerable members of the royal family. In fact, it's got that bad now. I think I'm just going to make sure I've got a spot here where whatever she may want to give will go. But I was with Prince Edward at Adams Grammar, and very presentable young man. And I think the Lord Lieutenant primed him because he came over. He didn't say hello, Mal, but he did say hello, Councillor Malcolm Smith. And I felt proud to welcome him in to Newport. Newport is a town which is very close to mine and Christine's heart, and we go down there quite often. But to see him there was really the culmination of what was the last of my year, or I thought it was, because when we got back in the car, Dave, my driver, superb bloke, Dave Hayward, no mistake about that. And he turned round and he said, "I've got some news for you." I said, "Oh yes, what's that?" He said, "You've got a duty tonight." I said, "Well, no, I finished it. It's no more duties bar the council meeting." "No," he said, "you have got to go to a pub, which is now a restaurant as well." And I was conveyed to the Blue Elephant at Ketley. And I haven't been in the Blue Elephant since it was the 7 stars. So I was pleasantly surprised when I went in, because there's no mistake that hostelry and restaurant was second to none. The money that must have been spent in altering it. And the food, as I say, was superb. And there was quite a few other people there who, of course, when you've got a chain around your neck, they all wanted to come over and find out, was it real or is it painted? And what's the weight of it? And the owners were very pleased the way they'd been received in Telford. And so when we left there, I said, "I will turn round and commend you to my fellow members. I know not everyone likes curry, I know Culdy does and that, but anyone who likes spicy food, you won't be disappointed. There's no mistake about that. And I know the ward members up there know of it and know of its reputation. So, thank you very much. I'm not going to disappear off the scene, as members know, because I was re-elected, and I look forward to playing a role within the council for the next 4 years at least. And you will see from your agendas when it comes to committees and the rest of it, the positions that I shall be occupying. But thank you, members, each and every one of you. Thanks to the general public, because don't forget, whilst these people here may elect the mayor and deputy mayor, we are your servants. We do or endeavour to do what you asked. And hopefully Not always, we don't get it right, but in the majority of cases, we are getting it right, and there's still a heck of a lot of work to do. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Malcolm, before you sit down, can I ask you to give us the update on your charity appeal?
Yes.
To return to the lectern.
As you know, mayors are asked whether they're going to have a charity appeal. And I have, over the years that I've been mayor, I've had various charities. And it's been separate each year. But Christine and I were looking the other day and thinking back about how much we may have raised. And up till this year, we had raised £117,500. Now this year, as you know, it's for the local arthritis group. A small body of unsung heroes who go about raising money for people who are suffering with arthritis. And what I liked was the fact that all money raised stops here in Telford. And so I decided that, yes, we would go along with the local arthritis groups. And up till tonight, and we've still got some more money to come in, we had banked £8,500. It looks like it'll go over the 9,000 by the time we've finished. But I do have a check. The money will go in the bank, don't worry, you're not going to get lost, for that £8,500. And if I could ask the representatives from the local arthritis group to come forward, please. Yeah. Now, besides having Christine the side of me to represent the other side of the mayorship, I had a deputy mayor who was second to none, who supported me, who I made sure that he had duties to perform, which he carried out with him and his wife. And the reports that came back to me from all around the borough where he'd gone to represent me and the council was how polite, how nice the gentleman was, and how he and his wife would mix with the people. And I thought, no worries. I can safely say my deputy is doing a very good job. Sadly, due to boundary reorganisations, Amric lost his seat. It's a great shame. And my youngest granddaughter is in his ward. So the first thing I wanted to know was, did you go out to vote and did you vote in the right manner? And she did assure me, yes, Grandad, it was all right. But Amric, you do have my heartfelt thanks for the support that you gave May and Christine. Thank you for that. Now, there's got to be another person who is about, the one who gets the shirts ready, gets the tie ready. My wife has a queer sense of humour, because she'll look at me and say, stand there, and then she'll put the shirt up and say, no, that's not right, and she puts that back and put another one up and she said, that's right, but let me see if I've got a tie to go with it. So by the time I come out, I'm waiting one of these days. If she doesn't turn around, we got the tie, the shirt, and the underpants to go to match, because everything has to match. So socks, I always wear special ones, so I don't have to worry about that. And I can have any colour from the hospital as long as they're white. So, Christine, for all the support that you've given me, not only now, but over the years of 51 years of marriage, I can't ask for anything more. Right, where are we going? Over here.
Yes. Carry on, Malcolm, I'm the speaker.
No. Can I say that within my life, and it's like all mayors, if you're married or you've got a partner, you've got a woman normally who is pushing you along. But I've got 3 people who were doing it to me, and I'd get a telephone call from either one or the other to say, what are you doing tomorrow? And I say, well, nothing at the moment. I was looking forward to some time off. Well, no, you're not. You're going for this so-and-so, and the car will pick you up at such a time. And they did a lot of work for me. Now, you haven't heard this, Mr. Chief Executive, that doesn't necessarily come within the purview of their responsibilities. But I knew if I asked, they would somehow make sure that what I'd asked for happened. And those 2 are Emma and Paige, the 2 people that have been the other half of my life. Emma and Paige, if you could come forward. Look at that. Put them into water as soon as you get home.
Thank you, Malcolm. Right, we now come to the more serious part. Again, it's the election of the leader. Can I have nominations, please, for the leader for a 4-year term of office? I was about to call on you.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to formally move Kuldip Sahota as leader of Telford Wrekin Council. In the last 4 years, despite the most unprecedented government cuts in modern history, Kuldip has shown great leadership. With the support of his cabinet, he has helped protect and deliver frontline services to our residents, some being the most vulnerable in our communities. With his leadership, we have seen the government support the logistics site at MOD Donington. We've also seen new ways of working and new initiative ideas to make sure the council looks at opportunities for incomes to try and fill the gap in the massive cuts to the council finances. CoolDip has focused the council on a business winning and business supporting ethos to create new jobs and inward investment, and also prioritise youth unemployment to give our young people the best start in life. Having served as CoolDip's deputy for the last 4 years, it has been a privilege to work alongside him, and so I move him to this position.
Councillor Sean Davis to second the proposal.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, there's been lots of fellow ward members nominating lots of other fellow ward members, but I'd like to say that I'm not just nominating or seconding a fellow ward member, I'm also seconding a friend and somebody who has become actually a close family friend as well. CoolDip has led this council, as Richard said, over the last 4 years with the utmost of grace and passion. And it hasn't been easy for him or indeed any of us who are elected to do this council to cut services in the way that we've had to because of the £18 million worth of government cuts imposed upon us. But I do have to say, Mr. Speaker, that he and the previous cabinet and the previous council as a whole did do huge positive changes to the borough: youth employment, regeneration of our district centres, Southwater development, MOD Donington, just to name but a few. And I know that CoolDip, as leader of the council going forward, will mean that the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week A&E that we need in this town will be put at the heart of everything that our council does to ensure that we are not downgraded, our hospital isn't downgraded. So I have no hesitation in seconding the nomination of CoolDip as leader of the council.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Any other nominations? Councillor Bentley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad you said this is a serious side, because this is a serious side of the meeting. And the role of the leader is very insular. And following the recent election, I firmly believe this council is at a crossroads. Quite clearly, the result, irrespective of the overall position in the chamber with regards to representation, the electorate demonstrated dissatisfaction with the way the administration applied itself over the past 4 years. Claims which we have just heard, the phase 1 of the Southwater has been completed.
Councillor Bentley, are you making a nomination or making a
Oh,
speech?
yeah, I'm getting to it.
Can you make this? Can you make a nomination, please?
Councillor Andrew Reid, now can I carry on?
Support, Andrew, but we don't need all the diatribe.
Can't I have the same amount of time as the others?
You've got the same amount of time, but you've used quite a bit of it.
Claims can be made that investment or regeneration of our district centres has begun. Claims can be made with regard to replacement of our schools. However, facts are these enterprises are a legacy of the outgoing administration in 2011. That administration, which survived for 4 years in the minority, yet one that paved way both locally and nationally for the promotion of the borough of Telford Wrekin as a place to work and live and invest. Councillor Reid has leaded during that time, demanding much of his cabinet members. Under his guidance, long before the word austerity became the byword to shift the blame on others, he began a rationalisation programme of this organisation. That rationalisation saved this authority millions. Coupled with those savings, prudent borrowing was applied. This in turn paved the way for the enterprise I spoke of earlier. It also provided confidence for the business sector investment, which is so vital to the aspirations of this authority and our community. However, despite many adverse claims and comments to the contrary since 2011 election defeat, at no juncture would he allow cuts to frontline services. Neither would he allow the future aspirations or achievements of our children to be affected by failing schools. Neither do I believe would this authority be in the farcical position of revisiting planning permissions granted, however justified that may be.
Councillor Bentley, you're getting restrained further from the nomination than you ought to.
Oh, no, I'm
Please,
you.
please.
What do you mean? Come on. Aren't we meant to promote who we nominate?
You're promoting, but you're also, Councillor, you're also going back over old territory. You should be moving, Councillor Reid.
Sean Davis just did.
Councillor Sean Davis did it in a short, succinct way. You are taking a long essay to do it. Please move on. Is there a seconder for Councillor Eade? Thank you, Adrian.
It's Nigel, but never
Nigel,
mind.
sorry, yeah.
It's all right.
I always
We
get
look very
two good-looking men mixed up, you know.
Right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Andrew has led this council before, where we saw consistently low council tax and record levels of investment. While it may be a bit of a challenge leading the group opposite, I cannot think of anybody more suitable to take on the task. It is also worth bearing in mind that Andrew's electoral mandate is superior to that of the other nominee. His personal vote was greater, as was that of our party in general. I urge you to support the legitimate leader of the council, Andrew Eade.
Thank you, Nigel. Any other nominations? No? Then I put it to the vote. All those in favour of Councillor Sahota, please show. You are a bit late. We usually have a recording vote on this one. So, all those in favour of Councillor Sahota, please show. Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Eade, please show. Thank you. Councillor Sahota is the leader. Congratulations, Paul. Now we come to the appointment of a deputy leader, and as you're probably all aware, under the strong leader arrangements, the leader must appoint a deputy leader. And I've been informed that the speaker, and it's been confirmed to me that the leader will appoint Richard Overton, Councillor Richard Overton, as deputy leader for a 4-year term of office.
Yes.
So I say that Councillor Overton is appointed as deputy leader, and I ask Councillor Overton to sign the Declaration of Acceptance.
We're not doing that. He's not going to sign it.
He's not going to sign.
We're not doing that. We're doing it for the mayor and the
right.
It's a ceremonial post.
Okay. That will be done at an appropriate time. Right. Apologies for absence.
Apologies from Councillor Kiernan, and Councillor Lawrence may be joining us later. He's been delayed.
Are there any declarations of interest?
No declarations submitted, Speaker.
Thank you. Minutes of the council.
I moved them.
Confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 5th of March 2015. We move second. All those in favour of the minutes being true record? Okay. Who signed them? They only need to sign them. Okay. Thank you. I now invite the new mayor, Councillor Leon Murray, to give a short address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and fellow councillors. First of all, I would like to say a big thank you to my wife and daughter who have supported me, because without them, I would not be able to take this job on. And so Barbara and Christine and Rachel, thank you very much for all the support that you have given to me and will give to me for the next 12 months. I'd like also to say a big thank you to my fellow councillors for electing me for the second time to be mayor. It's almost just 12 months since I stood at this lectern and stood down and Malcolm took over. And it was a surprise to me to be coming back within 12 months. But thank you very much for having the confidence to elect me to be mayor again. And I promise you that I will do my best to represent the borough and its people throughout the next 12 months. I will support many our organization, businesses, schools, educations and training, the voluntary sector, and the vulnerable people in our borough. These are my priority, and I will give it all my strength to work with everyone and to do so. I want to thank all my friends who are in the audience there tonight who have come to support me. I have a very loyal bunch who supported me, and thank you all very much for coming tonight to support me. And I don't know whether I should say this, but having been a councillor now for 4 years and starting another 4-year terms, and having worked with so many of the staff and officers in the council, I want to say a big thank you to all the staff and officers in the council, without whom we as councillor would worth nothing. And a big thank you for all the hard work that you have done to keep us functioning, and especially for the last 6 or 7 weeks, the general election, the borough election, and the parish council election. I know that many of you have been working your socks off, and so a big thank you to you all for the hard work that you have done. I would say that if it all was in good power, I would see your son for 4 weeks, but it's not in my power, and so many of your staff will have to do with me within the next 4 weeks, coming around to your offices to say thank you for all your hard work and support. In the next couple of weeks, when Hammer can arrange this, me and the mayors will be coming around to the offices and to say a big thank you to you all for all that you have done. And I want to say thanks to Jane Pinter, who will, my deputy, and we will seek to work together to serve the borough together. Last year, I had for my charity Wellington Cottage Care and the Seven Hospice, which we did raise quite a lot of money. This year, for my next 12 months, I have chosen local charities that I want to support. One of them is the Samaritan. The Samaritan work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, manning telephone line to respond to vulnerable people. And I want to support them. I also want to support MS. MS who support people with very serious illnesses, no cure, and I want to support them. And Cottage Care, one of my charity that I support last year, I want to support them again because they are doing a fantastic job in helping people in the day centre in Wellington. And so those are my 3 charity that I shall endeavour for the next 12 months with your support and the public support to raise as much money as I possibly can to support them. I haven't got a great deal more to say at this point, but thank you all very much, and I look forward to working with you all. But I should really say a big thank you to the public, the people of Telford, the borough of Telford and Wrekin Council population for electing all of us and both sides of those for another 4 years. They have put their trust in us, and I'm quite sure that all of us as councillors on both sides will agree that we'll do our best to serve the people of Telford and Wrekin. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Leo. I now call upon the leader, Councillor Sahota, to address the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies, gentlemen, mayors, mayoresses, consorts, councillors, Lord and Lady Grocott, Lucy Allen MP, Freeman of the Borough, Lieutenant Colonel Nick Jenkins of the Rifles, and Mrs. Elizabeth Holt, welcome you all to our Telford Wrekin AGM. Mr. Speaker, may I take this opportunity to congratulate and welcome all members, new and old, on their election and re-election. Serving your community is a great honor, and I know in the coming years we will work together to ensure our borough does well. Being in local government these days is tough. In the last 5 years, the government had reduced our grant by over £70 million, and it is likely that we will lose even more in the coming years. In the last 4 years, in spite of all the government cuts, effect on the frontline services have been minimum. And this has not been by accident. We have worked hard with council employees, partner organizations, communities to minimize the impact of the government cuts. People in their homes may not have felt the impact of the government's cuts yet, but they have certainly felt inside the council. Because we have, just listen to this, what we have done in the last 4 years. We have cut 1,200 posts, that's saving of about £20 million. Reduced senior management by 50%. Most senior pay cuts by 25% in real terms. 35% reduction in middle management. 45% reduction in back office cost. Accommodation costs have been reduced by 33%. We have also cut cabinet allowance by 10%, thus saving in the last 4 years £160,000. And today, Mr. Speaker, the new cabinet commits to maintaining this cut, meaning that by the end of this term, 4 years, over 300,000 would have been saved by this single measure. And as they say, every little helps. Yes, we have made big cuts, but I'm also very, very proud the many positive things that our administration have achieved. Things that have fundamentally brought positive and long-lasting change and improvement to our borough. The regeneration of Brookside, Headley, Oakengates, Melonsley, Wellington, and Hollingswood is ongoing. Telford Loyalty Card, the way it supports local businesses and residents to save money while shopping locally. The major refurbishment and the saving of the ice rink, the biggest youth club in our borough. Our leisure centre and new fitness facilities in Newport, Madeley, Doley, Oakengates, and so on. We have been supporting business winning council for the last 4 years. We have provided direct support to many companies to expand. And here are just some of the examples. We have provided help to Stadco, Heinz, Kramer, BAE System, Borges, creating hundreds and hundreds of jobs. We introduced small business loan scheme, which has created, again, hundreds of jobs. We delivered Southwater, creating over 400 jobs there, creating a place that everyone is proud of. A heart beating in the Telford. And that's what people say out there. A £1 million Pride Fund supporting many community projects across the borough. And in the last, and this week, the application has opened for £1 million on the High Street Fund. So get your applications in. We are the only second council to have a commercial solar farm. This will bring an income that will help us avoid making cuts of £140,000. That's the profit we make from solar farm, and we are the second council to do so in the country. We have reduced youth unemployment by 50% in just 1 year. We have secured MOD National Logistics Centre for Telford. Mr. Speaker, I could go on but I want to talk about the future. This council, led by us, will fight tooth and nail to ensure our A&E remains open 24/7, 7 days a week at the Princess Royal Hospital. And if there needs to be one site, then that site must be Telford. I have looked at the local manifestos for all the political parties, and I have noted some good things. I say now, let's all work together. I said this 4 years ago, and I'm saying it again. We need to be Telford United. I'm asking all councillors to work together for the good of the people of the borough. One thing I have learned being in politics for the last 15 years or so is that people intensely dislike politicians who squabble and fight between themselves. It is destructive. I'm asking every councillor to pledge here today to work together for the good of our communities, and it is time for all of us to pull together. As I have always said, whether you're a parish councillor, a town councillor, borough councillor, or a member of the public, my door is always open to everyone to come in with any suggestion, and I will be waiting for that, and that door will be open. I also want to thank our council employees for their hard work, for their dedication, and for their commitment and hard work. We are fortunate to have so many talented, creative, and caring people working for us, who so often go above and beyond the call of duty. And this is how hard they work. I also want to thank those people in our community who so selflessly volunteer in so many ways. Carers, sports clubs, snow wardens, street champions, and so on. You have my total respect, and you help us to make our borough a wonderful and caring place it is. Thank you to all of them. Telford is a buzzing and exciting place with lots of things happening. We have the Carnival of Giants coming up soon, a free family event for all. We have Boys Own and Alicia coming to Telford Park Arena. We will have there at least 7,000 people there. And I have got my ticket in my pocket here, so make sure you got your ticket, and it will be a great night out, and it will be a good for our local economy as well, for all those people coming in and spending their well-earned money in Telford. Mr. Speaker, I cannot stand here today without thanking David Wright for his services to Telford for the last 14 years as an MP. Many years before that as a local councillor. He was a hardworking, capable, and diligent MP. I know from talking to many people, and they say he will be sorely missed right across the council. In the last 4 years, he has helped, along with ourselves and the trade unions, to secure hundreds of jobs at the MOD Donington. His advice and knowledge has been invaluable for the success of that project. I'm sure you will join me in wishing him well for the future. Now, Telford has a new MP in Lucy Allen. We look forward to working with you, Lucy, in a similar way that we have done so successfully with David Wright in the last so many years. As I have said above, the government has made very deep cuts in our funding, and with more to come. And as with David, this council and our residents will be looking to you, Lucy, to help us fight for our borough. This town deserves nothing but the best from the government. Finally, I want to look to the future. Local government, as one of the unprotected part of the public sector, can expect some tough times and some very difficult decisions in the future. they will have to radically change the way they deliver their services. These councils controlled by different political parties, it doesn't matter which political party it is, they will face a very, very difficult choices. No more than ever is it time for all councillors to work together. The borough of Telford and Wrekin is a huge success. There are still many issues and challenges to address. I'm proud of Telford and Wrekin, and working together, we can ensure that Telford and Wrekin remains a place that is very much on the up. Now it's time to get back to work, and thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Councillor Reid, under the standing orders, you are allowed to make a reply.
Well, thank you very much, Speaker. First of all, my congratulations to Councillor Sahota on becoming leader. I know it's an interesting job, to say the least. It will be a torrid time for you, I'm sure. And as he's quite rightly said, that we're all facing quite difficult choices, and there are choices that we will have to make. I remember 4 years ago that the stance then was quite different. And you were saying, having lost control of the council, you would make sure that you never did so again. Well, you have. The council is hung, although I do welcome the change in rhetoric from yourself. We'll see how we progress with that. We gained over 4,000 more votes in the borough elections across the borough than did yourselves. The days when this was considered one of the safest Labour councils in the West Midlands have gone. In 1997, we had a general election, a similar situation. At that time, you got 62% of the vote. It had been higher, the election before at 67. That has now gone down to 37. The town is changing, and it's changing round us. And that's due, in no small part, to this council and what we've done in the past by so your offer to work together is quite interesting to see, two to tango, and it's something that we wouldn't rule out at all. We had a manifesto that we went into the election with. It was very clear. I didn't see one from yourself, and I haven't heard much about what you plan for the future from what you just said. It was big on words, but actually very little on substance in there. We've heard about the regeneration, which of course you know we started in our Borough Towns initiative, and that you carried on. And all those towns that you've mentioned, we either started, finished, or indeed put the capital in place to do so. Because our views at that time was quite simple, and it wasn't a political view. We wanted to take a whole borough look at what we could do to make sure that this was an attractive place to come and bring your business, an attractive place to come and live. One of the key issues around that was education. And we know what position we're in at the moment with education. I know that the word cooperative seems to have been dropped from everything now. There's a considerable amount of work to be done to put that right. We left it in fine fettle. There's also the issue, of course, of funding for future schools. This council has been busy giving planning permission right across the board without any due care or attention to the infrastructure that needs. Now, I've mentioned schools. This council hasn't collected a bean over a 4-year period by way of capital from developers, from all the thousands of houses that are being developed, to actually start to deal with that so we can look at the future. I know changes were brought in very late, after 3.5 years, well, last November, to try and remedy that. But the key issue around this is planning. And if changing why you did so badly at this election, why you lost control. And it was the issue of planning and what you're doing to our communities. Now, I always used to say that we don't do unspeakable things to our own people. They put us here and we're there to do our best. And I've heard you say, echo that and use exactly the same words. But that is not the view that people have taken in this borough. And again, that's quite clear from the election results. Now, shaping places, I see Charlie has moved on for whatever reason. Perhaps it's a promotion up to Speaker Charlie. but planning is a key issue, our key issues here. And what this council has done are unforgivable. I've been to most planning committee meetings over the past 4 years, and I've never seen the like before. They've been packed with very angry people who feel abandoned by their local authority. And I think they've made their views very clear. At the very least, what we will be looking for is for shaping places, or wrecking places, shaping places, call it what you will, to be completely rewritten. I want to see communities with development boundaries. I want to see the development, certainly into open countryside and green fields, taken out of the development plan. But most of all, I want to see this council reconnect with its local community and respond to the consultation that was received on shaping places and act on that. Because believe me, for the sake of an extra few votes, if we had have won, we would have dealt with that and started to deal with that over the very first weekend. That is key to our future. People do not want to see out of control growth. And to suddenly come along and say that, well, we've only got 2.5 year land supply, we've got to give planning permission to overnight, well, actually, we've got 8.5 years of land supply. People can see through that sort of just before the election. What has been done to this borough is unforgivable in many ways, and we'll look back on what's happened the same way as we look back on parts of the town and the county that took place in the 60s. So in response to your offer, yes, of course we'll work with it. We'll work with anybody for the good of this borough. And of course we will. I have to draw your attention that 3 times over the last 4 years, I agreed to go down and see Eric Pickles, that nice Mr. Pickles with you. The meetings never materialized, was never included. Now, what sort of inclusion is that? Now, if you're genuine about this, we can sit down and we can talk about this, because people in the town quite rightly expect their elected councillors to get on with the job. And as you say, not squabble over party politics. There's a lot to be done in this town, but there are things that we wish to see, certainly around planning, and there has to be a clear change of direction for the good of us all and the good of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Bill. Councillor Tomlinson, under the standing orders, you also have the right to make a...
Well, he still lost the election. He still didn't get the full support of enough people to take a majority on the council. He certainly gained seats and he makes valid points with regard to planning, which I would echo as well. I think there's been too much of our green spaces being threatened by plans, but I would also remind him that we may have a joint responsibility in that, and that my previous government, the Lib Dem coalition, along with the Conservatives, started it by trying, and maybe we paid part of the price for that. There was a problem in the southeast that they couldn't get enough houses to be developed, and they opened up blanket planning rules across the whole country, which weren't required in many other areas of the country. They're only needed in the southeast. But they give complete open swathes of land across the whole country that can be paved over. And so and he's part of control. So if they want to change it, why don't they change the national planning rules and make it? We are in an interesting position. As a group that I represent as a group leader, we will vote on issues that affect us, and we will vote for the benefits of what we feel is best for the public that elected us. Well, it means putting in an authority, people in charge who we think would serve better than others. But we'll also vote on specific issues, and I would very much welcome working with both leaders on points where we can benefit the whole community and not just simply party politics. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Councillor Houghton, do you want to make a short reply?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will be as short as possible. Andrew said he couldn't find Labour manifesto, but I did manage to find all of them, and I'm still looking at them, and I have read them all very well. I'm surprised that he said he couldn't find mine anywhere. It was all on the website somewhere. If you look for it hard enough, you can find it. So can I say also on the schools, the Lowly school started last year, and that was funded by the local developers. And as for the secondary school, he said, you know, we are not sort of getting any 106 from them. The government, you know, as an ex-leader of the council, he should have known this fact. The government will not let us put any 106 on them. The government will not do it. That is where the government is, and I have checked it where the office is. Can I also, I'm only just picking a big point, and can I also say that the shaping place is, we've been working on it for the last 2 years, and the document is ready, and it will be coming for a public consultation in the soon. As for a meeting with Mr. Pickle, he just refused to see us. Perhaps you can put a good word in for me. Thank you.
Right. Item 15 is the appointment of cabinet, and I call upon the leader to notify the appointment of his cabinet as per the table schedule.
Yes, it's all there, and I move, this is for the noting, and I move my cabinet. Thank you.
I understand that Richard Overton's to second it. Is that okay? Appointment to committees, boards, etc. The paper's there in front of you. We've usually done this on block, and I'm asking again on block. Can somebody move on block? Is that agreed? We can always change over the years, okay? Item 17, ask you to note the programme of ordinary meetings of the council. Agreed and noted. I ask you to note that. Agreed?
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of the AGM, and I'll close the meeting accordingly. I know. That's the AGM closed. We now come to a special meeting of the Borough of Telford and Wrekin. Yeah, we are on time. And this is to admit an honorary freeman of the borough, the following person, Alan Olver. He being a person of distinction and a person who is considered Telford and Wrekin. And Section 249 Local Government Act 1972 provides that a council may pass a resolution to admit an honorary freeman, providing that not less than 2/3 of the members voting thereon on the meeting at the council specifically convened this purpose to support. I now open that meeting, and where's my paper? I'd like to welcome Alan Olver to the meeting and call upon Sahota to propose Alan Olver be admitted a freeman of the borough.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a real pleasure and an honour to be proposing Alan Olver as to be given freedom of the borough. Last Friday, Alan, I was there at your 10th anniversary of the, for the KIPS, and I was there. I couldn't see you there. Did look for you, but Steve was there, and I had spent quite some times there, and had my cup of tea and cakes, and then I left about 11 o'clock. So I'm sorry I missed you there. And Alan, he was celebrating the 10th anniversary of the KIP, when he started. He also started before that a stay as well, and also the main place, and helping the homeless people across our borough. And Alan has worked many years. He is to Telford and Wrekin what Mother Teresa was of Calcutta. Anyone who came to him for shelter, Alan provided it, whether it was a man or a woman. And that's what Alan was there. Alan is the unsung hero of the homeless people in Telford and Wrekin. Not many people know this, not many people know this, unless they needed help. And then they know how important the work you do, Alan, is to those people. And also, you know, and all the other services you've done. And thank you for all your services to homeless people. And from the bottom of my heart, I could go on and on, but I got to let my colleagues sort of, who seconds me, to sort of take it from there. I therefore move that Alan Alber be given the freedom of the borough for Telford and Wrekin Council. And thank you very much for that.
Councillor Clements.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is indeed an honour to second this motion. And like Culdip says, Alan is one of Telford and Wrekin's unsung heroes, who has made an extraordinary contribution in supporting and helping vulnerable homeless people across our borough, and we owe him a debt of gratitude. I am therefore delighted that he has accepted this Freedom of the Borough Award. I first knew of the fantastic work that Alan did for the homeless people when I worked for Bruce Grocott, Lord Grocott, who was then MP for the Wrekin in the early 1990s. And we all remember the Challenge Annika television programme, which saw the conversion of a chapel in Oaken Gates into a hostel for homeless teenagers, completed in 24 hours. Amazing. Alan was one of those key founders of that stay project. Alan has championed the cause for homeless people across Telford and Wrekin with Stay, KIP, Man in Place, and so much more. He's been extremely tenacious in doing that, and I know that he has challenged the council many times on making sure that we do our best to support our homeless, and so he should. His figures on homeless people sleeping rough, were always higher than ours. It is therefore important that we listen to people like Alan, who are at the front face of what is happening on the streets across our borough. I also came into contact with Alan and the work he did when the Council Scrutiny Committee carried out a review on homelessness in 2008. It was then that both myself and Derek White, and Derek can't be here, but I know he would be pleased the words I'm saying about Alan, when we saw at first hand the work that he did at Man in Place. His compassion and understanding for these men, many of them with mental health issues, drug and related problems, or being at the worst end of marriage breakups, was humbling to see. One of Alan's greatest characteristics, I think, which is fairly rare these days, is that he is non-judgmental. There's no side to him. And I think that is why he's able to make that massive difference and gain the trust and confidence of those people who need his support. These are challenging times for the homelessness section, with cuts to funding, despite an ever-increasing demand for those services. We are therefore lucky to have such an inspirational person in our borough standing up for this cause. So congratulations, Alan. This award is well deserved. Thank you.
Before I ask Alan to make us a short speech, are there any other speakers in support? Veronica Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is a privilege that I second, third and fourth all the votes of nomination for Alan. I've known Alan since that time when it was Challenge Annika, and I know he has integrity, commitment and compassion for all those who cannot help themselves. And we are truly grateful for all that you've done. You've not only put in place the KIP project, but I remember coming on a wet day when you had sofa surfing in Oakengate, just to show how people have to share a sofa because they haven't anywhere else to live. And then again, you put in Man in Place. It's wonderful the work that you've done for all the people who have no home and at times no hope. And you have given them that hope and understanding which they so vitally need, and put them on the right tracks for self-esteem and for work into the community. And I thank you so much for that. And you've also, Angela also said about your work in 2008 for scrutiny, but you've done that since, because you've had a great input into the strategy and policy for homelessness for this council. And that's truly grateful for what you've done for that, so that we are aware, and that is on record. The policy and the strategy is on record now with your help. So I thank you once again, and I'm so proud to be able to stand here and thank you. You so well deserve the status of honorary freeman. God bless you.
Councillor Bill Tomlinson.
Alan Olver and his team are one of those brave people that put themselves where most of the people wouldn't want to be at times. And they do such an invaluable role in literally helping turn people's lives around. He's an example to all councillors, because I would gather that if we do a fraction of what he did and his team do for the community, then we'd all become good councillors by putting other people first. Thank you.
No other contributions. Nobody's rusting got to get up there. I put the motion to the vote then. All those in favour that Alan Olver is be admitted as a freeman of the borough. All those in favour, please show. Unanimous. Alan, congratulations. I now invite Alan to respond, and this is the embarrassing part for Alan because I spoke to him before the meeting.
Thank you very much indeed for receiving me in this way this evening. I'm ever grateful to God that he saw the potential in me to serve others and for his faithfulness in all of that. When hearing just a week ago that you wanted to acknowledge the work amongst the homeless, and particularly my part in this, the thought overwhelmed me. To stand now in front of so many of you, also elected and chosen to serve others, particularly here in the borough of Telford Wrekin, overwhelms me even more. I count it a great honour and privilege as a man of Kent to have had the opportunity to come to Shropshire and to be adopted as a Shropshire lad and serve within the borough of Telford and Wrekin for the last 30 years. To work with some of the most vulnerable, marginalised, distressed, and hurting people is nothing more than a privilege. The legacy of the investment of years of service is that the provision is in place for the homeless. Through the fantastic work that Stay do, Wellington YMCA, responding to young people who are homeless, to the KIP project, who are there at the moment that people need someone to respond to their homelessness. A man in place, and to see this within the borough, for me, is reward enough. So to be honoured in this way renders me almost speechless. But most of all, I am left humbled by the commitment of those who have and still work with me to enable the service and provision to be available. I acknowledge this evening the loyal staff teams here in the council, the officers of the Salvation Army at Oaken Gates, my colleagues at Stay and the YMCA and KIP, and particularly now, Man in Place, because together they have stood with me with every challenge and made it work. Last but not least, words cannot express my overwhelming gratitude to Catherine, my wife, for her wisdom, patience, and endless support over the years. I'm delighted to have my two sons here this evening, whose lives will have been impacted upon my commitment to work for the homeless. I would have struggled without their understanding. So this evening, publicly, I want to thank them. In conclusion, I leave you with some words from an unknown author of a hymn, and they say this: a freeman, once a slave, freedom to serve I crave, to serve but thee. Blessing and being blessed, be this my only quest, how I may serve thee best, till thee I see. Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of the proceedings for tonight. But before I close the meeting, can I invite all members and guests to stay after the meeting is closed for refreshments, which will be served from the rear of the theatre. And I'd ask people to move into the bar while the tables are rearranged so that people can have their food properly. And can you all remain seated while the mayoral party, civic party, depart? Thank you. I'll close the meeting at 8:10. Thank you.